Defensive week here on drills, like we do with our offensive drills. All of us coaches, we're doing the same thing. We're trying to make our defenses better. We're trying to make our offenses better. We're trying to make our teams better. So this is just a way to score, to add a tangible way, a subjective way for you to measure it in practice, to hold your players accountable to the things you care about. Adapt the reasons, adapt the point systems, give higher values to the stuff that really are your pet peeves. If your pet peeve is giving up middle drive, change this to middle drive. If your pet peeve is jumping on somebody's back after a missed free, whatever your pet peeves are, assign those real high values to those numbers. But whatever is important to your defense, that's the things you want to chart. We all know that your kids, if you have a good team, they're going to try to do what you ask them to do. So make sure what you are asking them to do leads to wins. That's what we do with ours. These are things that are very important to how we choose to defend. The point values, I would just make the things that make you the maddest. If they're least impactful, give them fewer points. Most impactful, make them toward the point. And then it's just a variation of scrimmaging and how you score it. This is how we break it down. We hate paint touches are going to happen, but we do have to limit them. Over the years, we've charted paint touches we have versus paint touches that we give up, and it is one of those stats that is an indicator towards who wins the game in our games very, very often. So we're trying to get those on offense. This goes back to some of our philosophical talks that I have with my buddies. If we're trying to do these things on offense, we should be trying to stop them on defense. So paint touches for us are a huge part of our offense, so we try to stop them defensively. For us, getting beat outside, some people say that means getting beat to the baseline, but in the middle it's getting beat to the outside of our drives. Outside is our 3-foot radius. We ask our defenders to be able to guard their yard 3 feet left, 3 feet right. Uncontested three-point attempts. For this particular drill, we make everybody a shooter. We try to make as many drills as we can, worst case scenario. In games, is there a scouting report time when you're not going to close out to a kid or care whether a kid takes a contested three? Sure, that's fine. But in these drills, we treat everybody worst case scenario, and we despise uncontested three-point attempts where they have to catch and shoot. All right, if we can force them to dribble it, we know the math on the percentages on how the percentages go down when you force somebody to try to attempt a three off of the bounce. Then these are our big pet peeves. We hate halo or arc shots inside that second halo, the one underneath, this one here. That's the one we really hate, okay? And then offensive rebounds. They're demoralizing. They usually draw a foul on your bigs. You've guarded good defense. You force a shot that you want, they miss it, and then, there's no such thing as a bad shot. I think it was Fran Fraschilla that said that, or the person I heard say it first. There's no such thing as a bad second shot. So that's how we apply these points. Then we just simply scrimmage, and we've got a coach watching each one of these things. Paint touches can accumulate. Beat outsides can accumulate. So if we get 3 paint touches in a possession, that's 3 points for paint touches. If we have 4 different players or the same player beat multiple times on beat outsides, that adds 2 to it. If it ends with an uncontested 3, that's a +3 that accumulates to the total, and then either of the 2 at the bottom, an offensive rebound or a layup. I think our highest number was a 24. I think we had a 24 the other day. I hope we didn't put that clip on here. Maybe we should have, but there was a 24-point play in which team, they drove it 4 or 5 times, touched the paint, got beat outside, kicked it out for an uncontested 3, got an offensive rebound, kicked it out, got another uncontested 3, blew by somebody. They miss a layup in the arc. That shot doesn't have to go in, by the way. On that layup arc shot, they just have to get it. And neither does the three-point attempt. Doesn't have to go in. They just have to get it. They smoke the layup. Somebody gets an offensive rebound. It's 24 points. So it's just a crushing feeling when you have possessions like that. Y'all have all had them to where you're in a game and this team just has one possession that tips the turning point in the game. So that's what I think this drill has beauty on. As you've heard in our other videos, I think you can combo this drill. You can have your offensive coach working on your offense or a scout coach working on what you're going against. so that you can work on your offense against your defense if you want to. You can turn this into a combo drill. This day we're doing it versus our guys, so we're probably competing red versus white is my guess. We'll see as we get going. But anytime you want to stop and freeze, you're looking for everything that you want your team to do a lot. If you're a gap team or you're a denial team, or just tweak this to do whatever you need to do. So as this possession starts, what we're charting right now, and when we say paint, we make them get it below this line here. We don't let them just come touch these corners. And they got to have their momentum going at the rim. If we force them into the paint and they're peeling out of it, we don't count those drills. So that one right there, like I did not count that one as a paint touch because he was passing it before here and he was kind of going at this. This player has to be able to read that. She is too deep right now. She should have maintained her gap integrity and been more right here so that she could have been here on the catch. Lower is not safer. Players feel that. They get low, they feel like they're safe. Gap is your safe point. This is a good little pinch right here by Pena off of her high gap. We're doing an okay job here. I'd like a little bit more connection to the post in the post area, and maybe a little bit more activity here, a little bit more of a stance. I wouldn't have rewarded that one because it didn't necessarily get below there on the pass. So we're going to now evaluate this closeout. Is that a contested three? That's a pretty good contest. Okay? She was a little late. She ran at it, but she does get a decent contest. She stays in the play, kind of gets a body on him. We get a miss. So now we'll go evaluate what we're doing here. Okay? That is not an uncontested three, so at this point, this possession is a 0. But they get a tip on the offensive rebound. We don't control it, so the number still goes. So we're going to, right now they're at 5. I guess we let them rotate off because we got White in. We gave him 5, and then we rotated off because it went out of bounds because we didn't secure the rebound. All right? So we force a guard-to-guard pass, another guard-to-guard pass. Now we got to do a good job. We got to win this closeout. Got to win this closeout. Like to be a little bit more in the gap. She's done a fine job here. We're okay everywhere else. Let's see if he gets it to the paint. He does not get it to the paint, in my opinion. Not below here. He is not below here, and his momentum's going this way. She does a good job of leveling him off. Like to stay attached here. Good gap here. Maybe see him a little bit better. Maybe she feels him, I don't know. We're a little too high in the gap here. As a result, he got us on the back cut because we were too high in the gap. Do we stay and keep pressure on the ball? We do. Kind of force a bad pass. Do we react to it? That's a 0 by our guys, okay? And we may have been telling them to start with a guard-to-guard. That's one thing you can do. You can simulate, hey, let's start with a swing pass with a pin down or a dribble handoff or a flash. You can orchestrate what you want the defense to do, the offense to do. Get a good closeout here. This is not a paint touch, okay? We have a box. You can't really see it on the video, but it extends about 2 or 3 steps outside here with the white tape. You can't really see the color. He is outside that box. We don't mind to play behind. We don't face enough good post players to front or give up position this far out. Inside we do, but right here we're in good shape. We don't want him to dribble it too many times without getting a dig. We got 2 players going to a dig situation here. If he's picking that dribble up, we better be on our way back out. I don't think we see our player here. We're in a good gap here. She moves on our time. The air time we call our time. That pass is in the air. She's on the move. She's got 2 hands up as he's able to catch it, so he can't immediately feed the post initially or gather to shoot as she's getting here. Should be going to our gap here. Do a pretty good job. We get in that gap. Good early help. That's a straight line drive though. Anytime we see our feet opened up, that is giving up this straight line drive, forcing her into a tough situation. I don't want our post to come over this early as well. She does a good job. We should have covered down. But as a result, they get it. I call this an uncontested 3 because look at where he's at into his shooting range. She gets her hand up late. This one, your players will come to you and go, but coach, I had my hand up. Yeah, well, the ball was halfway there. If you don't have your hand up as they're getting into their shooting motion, it is not a contest. We don't get him boxed. Great box out here. Okay here. We're in a wrestling match here. He doesn't crash. She did check to see if he goes, but we do go down. We get a stop on the loose ball. We're obviously starting with guard-to-guard pin downs. 1 swing across. No paint touches. Now that's in the box, okay? He is going to catch this in the box, so that would be, right now, just a paint touch. So that's a 1, That's a throw out, and this is getting ready to be an uncontested 3. He's in his shooting motion. The only person in the gym contesting is Coach Shirey, and she's not in the drill. So this is an uncontested 3. Now she's going to say to me, Coach, I got my hand in his face. You do. There is no question about it. Great effort, but it's late. A great shooter's not going to notice that. We get there, maybe it makes him miss it, maybe it doesn't. But great shooters are going to make that shot. Makes him miss. Do we get the offensive rebound? Boy, we don't, but we had a chance to. And this is a killer. This is the one we're talking about. We force an air ball. They're hard to rebound. I know they're hard to rebound, but we don't come up with it. We touch it with our hands. They beat us effort play here, and I never can figure out how our guys who aren't on scholarship and are just doing it out of their volunteer time can play harder than we do, and we can't get to a loose ball right there. That is not a 50-50 ball. That is a 90-10 ball that we lost. That is supposed to be our ball. That's not 50-50 ball. So they get a second opportunity at it. I count that as another paint touch. Turn it over. A great team's not going to do that. So that is a bad defensive possession. That was probably a 6 or a 7. Paint touch. Is it? No, we make him catch, but he dribbles to the paint. We don't want him to be able to dribble it to the paint. This is a good dig here. Makes him pick it up. Now get out of there. Get out of there. We're not double teaming. We stayed in there. We ended up with 3 people around the ball. Okay, this has been a great teaching moment for us. We do a good job of making him pick it up, but we have not moved, and that ball has covered about 4 boards. And we call air time our time. If we're not the fastest team, we're not the quickest team, we have to take advantage of when that ball is in the air and they don't have it, that we're making up a considerable amount of ground boards. We call it, how many boards do we go as that ball's in the air so that we have a chance to defend the next action? Not enough boards because he's able to really load this up. He's into his shot. We got hands down. We don't really ever even get our hands up. Offensive rebound, +5. Meaning if I had my rewind working as much, Blake comes from way down here to get this ball. This again, we would freeze this, bring him over. Is this a 50-50 ball? We're ahead of them. We're ahead of them. No way, we're ahead of them. Is this a 50-50 ball? No way. How can he beat us to that? He wanted it a little bit more. Must have been a T-shirt day. I was maybe giving away a T-shirt to the guy who got the most plus points on us. But whatever you've got to do as a coach, whether you're doing this red versus white, bring your JV boys team in if you're a high school girls coach. That's a deep paint touch. He makes that pass from here. That's too deep. We don't have him flattened out. Forces a long closeout. That's another paint touch. Probably a foul. Y'all can determine what you want to do with fouls too. I think ultimately we ended up putting a +4 in there for fouling a shooter. Boy, if you really want to get this going, what we did one day, I remember one day we let the red team keep score versus the white team. So like they're over there going, paint touch, that's 1. And we're going, no. They get really hard on each other. So if you ever get a point to where they don't think you're holding them accountable, let them do it against each other. Peer score this. Let the red team score because they'll be looking. Hey, that was a paint touch. Hey, that was uncontested. Whatever you're looking for. Again, key to this drill, it's not a magic trick. It's not something that, makes it special. It's how you score it, how you emphasize it, and what you emphasize. Put them in order. The things that matter the most with the highest value, start with 1 if you want to, add 2, add 3, add 4. You can go down the list, all right? But if you come up with some ways for this, add some things, send us your pet peeves, things you think we ought to add to this to help us improve our half-court defense.